Greetings from Mobility Outlook and welcome to Mobility Conversations. Today we are at Continental India's headquarters in Bangalore and Mr. Prashanth Doreswamy, President and CEO, Continental India is with us. Welcome, Mr. Doreswamy.
Thank you so much, Murali. It's really appreciate taking time out to come and visit us.
Always my pleasure. So I think Conti will be celebrating the 15th year next year.
Yes.
14 years.
Absolutely.
Was the journey for Continental in India.
Okay. So if I have to talk about Continental, Continental is 150 plus years old company. We celebrated the existence of this company of 150 years in last October. And in the world, there are only few companies who have been more than 100 years. And we are truly proud of this heritage. Talking about this 14, 15 years as a Continental year in India, I think our relationship with India goes back to 1970s. Conti entered India through a partnership with Modi tires. That's way back in 1974. They were the first tire manufactured as a technology partner in the name of Modi Continental. That's how we've been in the market for more than, say, 50 years now. With this, the acquisition of Siemens VDO globally, then that's how Continental, as a legal entity, entered India in 2008. As you rightly said, next year we'll be celebrating 15 years of existence in Indian market as a Continental legal entity. If I look back at the journey, I think it's been a phenomenal journey, very exciting. And we have been growing more than the market, if I have to say. Some of the milestones, if I have to talk about. Number one, it started with in 2012, we acquired the full stakes of Modi and it became 100% Continental Tires. Okay. Apart from entering as 2008 as a legal entity. And after that, there have been a lot of investments which has been coming into India, either in terms of the expansion or in terms of setting up new entities. And in 2009, we set up the first tech center with 70 people. Can you imagine? So 10 years before, we could visualize that the future of automotive is going to be driven by software. And where else we can go other than Silicon Valley of India, Bangalore. That's how, with that as a vision, we started our tech center in India. If I have to talk about recent investments, one earlier this year we inaugurated a 200 crore manufacturing facility in Pune, which is part of the ContiTech Surface Solutions. So this is a product which is very advanced and eco-friendly and serves as an alternative for the leather for interior application, which includes seating, door trims, cockpit, and other applications here. And recently, in the month of July, we made an MOU with the government of Karnataka for 1,000 crore investments for expansion of our R&D. The investments continue to grow, and for Continental globally, India is a very important market, both from the business perspective and also from the R&D perspective. That's why we continue to invest across all sectors.
Okay. So in the next 5 years, if you want to grow, what are the opportunities that you see from the Indian market?
Okay. So if you look at the transformation which is happening in the automotive space, slowly cars are becoming an extended IoT device, if I may so. But India is an emerging market. There's a little bit of lag in terms of bringing those technology. That's where our excitement lies in. So the three trends, predominant trends which is driving this industry, if I talk about, one is certainly the alternate powertrains, which is driven more so by governments and regulations, not by consumers. Whereas connected mobility and the autonomous mobility, these are the two trends which is being driven by consumer preferences. So these are the three trends certainly gives us a lot of opportunity. So one, we already have done a lot of bringing in a lot of technology when it comes to safety, because India was evolving and the government was bringing in terms of to make the road safer, vehicles safer. The safety technologies were brought in the last 4 or 5 years. That has been the biggest concentrations. The future, again, the safety technology will continue to evolve, For example, on the annual, if you talk about one is airbags, number of airbags going from 2 to 6. That gives us a huge opportunity for us to enhance our portfolio in terms of the airbag control units and also the satellite sensors. And number two, in terms of the CAFE norms, as a part of phase 2 of Euro 6, which is coming in, I think we have an opportunity to help our consumers, customers to improve the fuel efficiency. That's through, for example, TPMS, tire pressure monitoring system. Then the third is also moving, the market trend is moving from ABS to ESC, electronic stability control, which is much more superior to ABS, I would say. ESC helps in terms of avoiding the understeering, oversteering, and puts you back into the road. To that extent, it will be a very added advantage for safety. So with the introduction of ESC, I think it also makes it possible to bring in some of the ADAS features. Again, when I talk about ADAS, autonomous driving could be a long dream for India, but again, we have to divide that into 3: assisted, automated, and autonomous. So while automated and autonomous could be a little longer dream, certainly assisted functions can help India to further enhance the safety. Assisted functions like emergency brake, then forward collision warning, maybe adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning. So these are some of the assisted functions with the introduction of ESC, that's another technology. The third is the connected features, which we have to talk about. Few years back, we experienced a lot of comforts at home. Then slowly we started experiencing all those comforts in our offices. Now we expect those comforts to be in our car also in terms of digital displays. So that's where the next wave of this thing, if you had seen the sort of instrument clusters in the past, and now it's almost moving towards what we call as a pillar-to-pillar display system. So that's another big opportunity what we see slowly picking up. And the fourth one is in terms of the architecture. With all these advancements of the new technologies, vehicle also needs to be serviceable. If you want to have a serviceable architecture, then it has to move from the current ECUs to some sort of what is called as high-performing computer. And Continental is the globally leading company in terms of the new HPCs, I would say. That's where the domain HPCs is what is the other feature we look at. And the fifth, what I would talk about some type of services. Key as a service could be, or software as a service. So these are the 5 things what we are concentrating to enhance our portfolios.
Yeah, I think there are 2 things that you talked about. One is the regulation driven.
Absolutely.
Another one is also your own solutions.
Absolutely.
So where do you see the majority of the business opportunities coming? Regulation driven or your own solutions?
I think thus far, if you have to say, it's more on the regulatory. But as I said, now consumer preferences are slowly trying to overtake the regulations. I think that's where the future growth lies in.
Okay. I want to just take you back to the investment announcement that you made recently, 1,000 crores in Karnataka.
Absolutely.
If you can throw more light on where will you put in all this?
Okay. So this purely 1,000 crore, we said this is for the R&D expansion. The content of software in a vehicle is increasing. Today, we are already talking about 40%. And with the electronic content increasing, there's an increase in the software. And where else you can expand globally other than Bangalore? So to capitalize on this availability of talents, we would like to grow our tech center here in India, which is prominently supporting most of the global projects based out of India. And this 1,000 crores, specifically what we talk about, is going to be used for expanding our R&D footprint.
Also, see, there are many things that you talked about for the vehicle. I think those can be deployed at the factory also, like, for example, artificial intelligence,
Absolutely.
IoT, machine learning, etc. So these are being deployed in the factories to enhance the productivity.
Absolutely.
What is your experience?
Oh, certainly. I think, Continental has been pioneering in terms of digitizing the factory operations as well. So that's how you do this. This you do with Industry 4.0. And this is the sort of a mandate we have across manufacturing locations to get our plants digitized to the next level. There are different levels. If I have to talk about Bangalore plant, we started the journey almost 5 years back in terms of establishing the infrastructure for implementing this digitalization, what we call as a MES, which is the core of the Industry 4.0 manufacturing execution systems that we established. We have developed our own algorithms, which takes the data from each of the equipment which is present in this thing, and this algorithm helps us to give the output either in a predictive or a prescriptive form, and this is used through many means. It could be an handheld device or through a SMS, through mobile, to a more individual mobile. So this is helping us to give an alert even before the event is happening. So absolutely. So at the end of the day, Industry 4, if you ask me in a simple terms, if I have to put that, it's nothing but getting the visibility of the material flow in the system. So today we can use data to get that visibility so that you can be much more efficient. So that's the basic thing. We have even gone beyond that. Yes, so using this data, then there are multiple applications which you can use to further drive this automation. Maybe use of automated guided vehicles, or we use Kobo for a repetitive work in nature, or even for the augmented reality and equipments what we use in our manufacturing plant. There are multiple technologies, and also to an extent it becomes very challenging for you to train everyone for every technology. So what we have implemented is the augmented reality, so that a person sitting in any other part of the world, if something goes wrong, with this augmented reality, we are able to fix that on a real-time basis. So we have used, and the fourth is also as a part of the quality initiative in terms of the visual confirmations for all the critical stations, so that there's no misuse of any of the stations. So these are some of the few technologies which are further extended. And recently, when we were hit with COVID, for example, for running a plant audit, it was becoming a challenge for our customers also. Then I think then immediately we implemented what we call as the augmented technology, where customers sitting there and here through a the virtual audits have been conducted, including the PPAP runs and all this thing. So these are some of the technologies we continue to use. Now we are also taking it to the next stage in terms of implementing what we call the small projects in terms of automating the projects. Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of benefits are these initiatives given for the company?
So one, I would say improvement in efficiency. Our OEEs across equipment lines has increased by 8 to 10% improvement we have seen in the OEEs. That means more output for a given time, that you are able to sweat the asset much more than what it was before. Number two is in terms of the quality. The products what we make are all safety related products, and we need to ensure 100%. Not 99.99, it's 100%. So this has helped us to assure to our customers with 100% quality supplies. Number three, the traceability, which is very, very important, because any given product you have more than 250, 300 parts. How do we ensure that all the parts have the traceability to the finished goods, including the operator, which goes into a particular car VIN number, so that you are able to trace back. So it has helped the traceability, 100% traceability. The fourth is certainly reducing the in-process rejection cost quality, which has helped us to improve that. In our industry, in our company, we don't do rework. If it is not first time through, then it goes through a rejection, because electronic parts, as our policy, we don't do the rework.
That's a huge challenge.
Absolutely. So this helps in reducing the cost of poor quality also. So these are some of the advantages, which in turn helps to reduce your fixed cost and the variable cost.
Okay, that's interesting. What are the new technological solutions that Continental India is developing that can be offered to the customers in the near future?
Sure. So apart from what I spoke about, so we are working on some of the future technology. One example, if I have to talk about, is keyless entries, virtual key. Today, every car uses a physical key, either you insert or through a start button, but still key needs to be present. So we are working with a couple of OEMs to introduce what we call a virtual key, where you can pass on the key through your mobile phone, encrypted password. Encrypted password, for example, that's one. It's not only important for individual, but even for the service industry where you have fleets, it will help you to implement this here. And if I have to talk about two-wheelers, India is the biggest two-wheeler market in the world. So we are working on fewer technologies with more electronics contents getting added to two-wheelers. We also see a change in the architecture of the vehicle undergoing. So we are working on the vehicle control units, which will control the complete vehicle. Then we are also working on something called HERAS, where we are trying to bring in the blind spot detection, forward collision warning, or curve braking. So all these additional benefits, safety benefits, we are bringing to. So these are some of the features which we are working in the.
Yeah, I saw some of the features that you mentioned at the tech day recently.
Absolutely.
What is the response, from the OEMs, because they witnessed,
Absolutely.
saw.
Absolutely. So that was the first time we demonstrated with our vehicle during our last ride event. And a couple of our OEMs have really liked it, and we are taking it forward. We are in discussion with them for the implementation.
Okay. So the contribution of Continental India to the headquarters, how is it evolving, growing?
Okay. So while I will not be able to share the figures per se, certainly the contribution is seen in two terms. Yeah. One is the amount of business you do in India in terms of growth, business growth. Number two is in terms of the tech center, the growth of technology and the technological assistance what you provide to the Continental globally. You know, India is one of the biggest tech center outside of Germany for Continental. So, you know, Continental has about 40,000 R&D engineers, and out of which 4,000 already here. We are talking about moving to 6,000. So that's a predominant this thing. About 15% of the R&D engineers are based out of India. Across the world is a much bigger number, and we continue to grow. So that's the contribution what this thing. While the last few years we're focusing on in terms of the projects. So now we are working on how do we add more value. So more than the cost arbitrage, we are working towards adding more value. So how do you do it? By bringing in more innovations based out of India for the globe.
Okay.
And also making more center of competences and center of excellences. Already we have few center of excellences for the globe established in India, which is the lead center for that particular competencies.
Okay.
And the third is, you know, skilling has become a very important this thing. Maybe when you and me were studying, it was more of a 25 years of formal education than 40 years of work and 20 years of retirement. And now it's become 25 years of formal studies and 40 years of daily learning. So that's because so much of technologies and so much of changes is happening. So for which is very important for us to skill, reskill, upskill our employees. So we established something called Software and Systems Academy a couple of years. That's the global headquarters is based out of India and led by from India in terms of upskilling, reskilling all our employees across the globe.
Yeah, skilling, reskilling, very, very important tools. I remember you told me about employee productivity that you are working on. Absolutely. How is it growing? Because now you said that a lot of training needs to be given for them to even they learn. They need to unlearn and learn.
Absolutely.
So how is it progressing?
It is progressing well. So the tool for us to measure the efficiency are through four means for our engineering center. I would say one is what we use as a CBS as a philosophy, Continental Business Systems, where it will give the projects are driven based on the CBS philosophy of continuous improvement. Second is in terms of adopting agile methodology in driving the projects. So, and the third is in terms of DevOps, implementation of the DevOps in the new projects. And the fourth, what we call as SIM, Continental innovation management. So where the ideas should come and how those ideas gets converted into actual this. So these are the four pillars I would say to continuously improve the efficiency and also train, because this involves a lot of tools and application which to be used. For example, if I talk about agile, so it has become a sort of a buzzword, but it is now even beyond that. Today, if you see 40% or more than 40% of the projects are driven through agile methodology. And our target is to reach 100% of the project. We started 2 years back. We have achieved more than 40%. And our target is to make it 100% across all the projects, which is driven through agile way of management.
Okay. You also talked about enhancing women employment.
Absolutely.
What is it?
Okay. So that's very, very important for us. Not only from the gender diversity, but also from the international diversity perspective. So we have a bold target. The target is, the first phase of the target was 2020, 16% of our executives and senior executives, which are the management level people, to have, to that extent, 16% are from gender diversity. And 2025, we want to touch 25%. Okay. So 25% of our colleagues are from other gender. Okay. So that's the target. So this is the overall the vision and the target what we have set. So under this, we are driving many activities. India, how challenging it is. It's especially the manufacturing sector. It's predominantly dominated by men. So we have to use multiple ways to get this into action. So I'm proud that today our diversity in tech center is about 32%. And I am a strong believer, nature is 50-50. So we have to reach 50-50. So we are working that. So we have built a pipeline of our own leaders over a period of last 4 or 5 years. Okay. We're improving on the percentage, and also we strongly believe in growing our own leaders. Okay. So whenever there is an opportunity which comes up, we are able to absorb that from the existing pipeline rather than getting people from outside. Okay. So some of the important interventions what we have made is certainly one what we call as a WeLead, a Women's Excellence Leadership Program, where we take every year 18 female colleagues who are based on their performance appraisals and their ratings. We take them, we put them to a grind in terms of an external coach, where they undergo this the coaching for 6 months, and they have to do in this process a lot of exercises, and ends with a final capstone project as a group of 3 or 4. They have to come of a real idea to come and present to the management. So this has really helped us in identifying the top parts and also growing our female employees, colleagues. So this is one. Already we completed 3 batches, and this is the 4th year successfully we are running. There's a huge demand for that. This is also helping us to create our own leaders in the pipeline. And if I have to give statistics of the last 3 batches, more than 50% have taken a role change, which is very important for an upcoming leader to take different roles for them to grow to realize their aspirations. Second, in the manufacturing, we also ensure that it is a balanced shop floor, so that we have, wherever possible, we have the women employees. This thing across all the plants we have introduced. And the third is, getting women into the manufacturing itself is a challenge. So we started CSR projects 1.5 years back, what we call as the Women for Manufacturing, where we take women from the society from an underprivileged society, and we tied up with one of the NGO. We trained them for 6 months on a particular skill and make them employable. At the end of the once they graduate, they have the option of joining the Continental. We assure them, or if they want to join, we provide them with a job assistance program, where as of now we have completed more than 6 batches, and there's a huge demand for this. So we have to expand this. This we are able to really change lives of many underprivileged women across age spectrum, maybe from 19, 20 years to 40 years, and get them a pretty decent job, I would say. And this has been so. This is also as a part of a CSR, as a part of a responsible company, we are also trying to promote this woman. So these are some of the few, if I have to share with you.
Very interesting. Lastly, I would like to know, are there any plans to expand the capacity, greenfield or brownfield expansions?
Oh, certainly. I think if you see, there are a lot of new technologies which is coming up. We need to expand. As we speak, we are getting geared up for the expansion of the airbag capacities. We have currently about 2 million airbag control units capacity, where we cater to top 4-5 customers here in India. While the number of ACUs is not going to change, but certainly the content of ACUs is going to change with the increase in the number of airbags. To that extent, it becomes that complex. So to expand that capacity, we are working on that in terms of airbag. The second is I talked about the TPMS. Currently, we do supply to some of the OEMs, but it's more through a traded route because the volumes are very low and it is meant for only export vehicle. But with this regulation and also the CAFE requirement coming in, we anticipated we have front loaded that investment in terms of this thing. So that's another investment you will see in early next year. Installation getting played up. And the third is also with the cars getting much more complex and much more getting ready for external updates through gateways and also telematic control units. So I think that's another product line where we have one big program for a telematic control unit with one of the biggest customer, and we are working with a couple of other customers as well. So that's going to be the new product which will be introduced in the Indian market. This is on the automotive side, and if I have to talk about tires, and tires, we do both the passenger car tires as well as the commercial vehicle tires. Our focus on the passenger vehicles to make on the IS sizes. So there have been a huge investments in last 1.5 years to increase the capacity and also to make new sizes. So we are proud to say that now we make 19 and 20 inches also, which goes into some of the luxury cars and this thing. So there's a continuous investment which is happening on the passenger car tire side. Very similar on the commercial vehicle side. We are the only MNC who manufactures both radials as well as bias tires. While it is shifting to radial, which is taking much more time than what we expected, but today it's about 55 radials and this thing. So there's a capacity expansion which is happening on the commercial vehicle tires also, if I have to tires. And the third vertical, what we call Conti Tech, where we continue to add capacities. In Pune, the surface solution currently it has a capacity to produce about 5 million square meters of the material. So we have a plan to take it to 10 million square meters. Once this is full, it's getting ramped up, and also we are looking at an export opportunities there.
Prashanth, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Very valuable.
Always nice talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.